Every Thanksgiving, something in you shifts. You tell yourself it's just nostalgia, the smell of food, the sound of laughter, but underneath, something tightens. It's not the turkey or the travel. It's the return to a place where your emotions were once too loud to be loved. Jung would say the child inside you is stirring, asking to be seen again. You smile at familiar faces, play your part, and say, "I'm fine," but your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. The small looks, the old tones, the quiet disapproval. They still live in your nervous system like ghosts that never left the table. The older you get, the more you sense it, the invisible weight of emotional memory. You were the child who noticed everything, the slammed doors, the silence that followed. You learned to read energy before you could read words. You became the peacekeeper, the one who softened everyone's anger. But no one noticed how exhausting that was for a small heart. You carried a burden that was never meant to be yours. Empaths are praised for their kindness, but few see the cost. You felt responsible for everyone's comfort. You smiled when you wanted to cry. You said it's okay when it wasn't. Every family gathering became a quiet performance. Thanksgiving doesn't just bring relatives. It brings back the version of you that had to survive them. You sit at the table and feel yourself shrink. Suddenly you're 7 again, apologizing for something that wasn't your fault. The adult in you knows better, but the child inside still waits for someone to say, "You did enough." That sentence never came, and part of you still believes peace depends on your silence. Jung once wrote, "What we repress returns in disguise." That's what this weekend is. The smell of stuffing, the same jokes, the same roles, their triggers wearing tradition's mask. And your body knows. Every memory stored in muscle begins to whisper again, reminding you that time doesn't heal what's still unspoken. You call it exhaustion, but it's really stored anger, the kind that never got permission to exist. You told yourself you were being mature, compassionate, but repression isn't healing. It's self-abandonment dressed as peace. The empath's curse isn't feeling too much. It's believing you must never feel for yourself. You feel guilty for even feeling angry. They did their best, you tell yourself, but guilt isn't gratitude. It's the mind's way of silencing truth. You can love your family and still admit they hurt you. Both can exist side by side in the same heart. Empathy without boundaries turns love into quiet suffering. As you pass the dishes, you realize you're performing, smiling on cue, making everyone comfortable again. You became what they needed so early that you forgot what you needed. Jung called this the persona, the mask that helps us survive but slowly erases the face beneath. You've been applauded for disappearing gracefully. Your inner child is still waiting for someone to ask, "What about you?" But no one ever does. That's why this holiday feels heavier than it should. It's not the food, it's the silence. The kind that follows when a truth has been buried too long. Deep down, you're still asking permission to exist fully. You think you've healed, but healing isn't forgetting. It's noticing when the same wound tries to speak again. That lump in your throat at dinner? That's the child whispering, "Don't make me disappear this year." Healing begins when you stop silencing that voice, when you let your own emotions take up space. It's strange, isn't it? You can sense everyone's mood, who's uneasy, who's resentful, yet no one senses yours. That's the paradox of the empath. You read emotions fluently, but your own story remains untranslated. You became fluent in everyone else's pain and illiterate in your own. Jung believed the family is the first mirror of the psyche, and mirrors, by nature, reflect what we cannot see. That's why they still trigger you, because somewhere deep down, you still hope to be seen clearly in their eyes. You keep looking for validation from the very people who taught you to hide, but you won't find freedom there, not from people who benefit from your silence. The peacekeeper role was never meant to be permanent. It was a survival instinct, not your destiny. Every empath must eventually choose between harmony and authenticity. One keeps the peace. The other keeps your soul alive. You can feel the resentment bubbling, anger at yourself for always keeping it together. Let it rise. Don't shame it. That's your soul trying to breathe through layers of politeness. Jung called this the return of the shadow, the moment your buried truth comes home, demanding to be felt without disguise. The shadow isn't evil. It's the part of you that refused to die. Every hidden tear, every no you swallowed, every moment you smiled through pain, that's your shadow. It's not your enemy. It's your history, asking to be honored. Integrating it doesn't make you darker. It makes you whole, and this time you're listening. You realize anger isn't against them. It's for you. It's the boundary your inner child never had the power to draw. The moment you stop fearing your anger, it transforms into clarity. It no longer controls you. It protects you. You don't need to confront anyone to reclaim yourself. You just need to stop abandoning the small voice that trembles inside. The one that says, "Please don't make me hide again." Healing isn't loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to stop betraying your own feelings. You look around the table and see the patterns, the same jokes, the same stories, the same tension. But this time, something changes. You're aware, and awareness breaks the spell. You're no longer reacting, you're observing. You finally see how much of your empathy was survival, not love. That's the beginning of freedom. Not the absence of family, but the presence of consciousness. You can see the loops for what they are. You realize you can love people without reenacting your childhood. You're not trapped in the same script. You're rewriting it, breath by breath. The empath's gift was never absorbing pain. It was recognizing it. Feeling deeply was never your flaw. It was your superpower, misused and misunderstood. Now you learn the sacred rule. Empathy without self-awareness becomes self-erasure. You're learning to feel with others, not instead of yourself. You breathe deeper now. The noise fades. You don't owe anyone harmony at the cost of your peace. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life. This Thanksgiving, you finally see the pattern. The cycle that ends the moment you stop pretending everything's fine. You once believed your silence kept the family together, but maybe silence was what kept you apart from yourself, from truth, from authenticity. You can't heal what you keep pretending doesn't hurt. Awareness isn't betrayal. It's the most honest form of gratitude to your own soul. Now, something inside softens. You forgive yourself for all the times you over-explained, over-felt, over-gave. You realize you were just trying to earn peace in a house that never learned how to give it freely. Forgiveness doesn't excuse the pain. It releases its hold on you. This realization doesn't come with fireworks, just a quiet breath. The child inside you unclenches. For the first time, the house feels less haunted. because you've stopped running from its echoes. The ghosts remain, but now you know they were never stronger than your awareness. You're not there to fix them anymore. You're there to remember yourself. You can set down the emotional weight you carried for everyone else. You can leave the table still whole. You realize peace isn't found by keeping everyone calm. It's found by keeping yourself honest. Thanksgiving isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about giving thanks for the awareness that changed you. Gratitude, in its truest form, is saying thank you to the lessons that broke you open. You stop performing love and start living it quietly. You realize that home was never a physical place. It was a feeling, one that returns the moment you stop performing and start belonging to yourself. Home lives in the breath where you no longer explain your existence. You finally understand. Returning home was always an inner journey. This year you don't chase approval. You honor your truth. You understand that love isn't earned through silence. It's expressed through honesty, even when that honesty trembles. You're not ungrateful for leaving old roles behind. You're grateful you finally outgrew them. So this Thanksgiving, let your inner child sit beside you. Not to please, not to fix, but to be free. You've returned home, not to the family you left, but to the self you forgot. Gratitude isn't what you say before a meal. It's the quiet peace that comes when you finally feel whole.